Rob Spectre.
Groovy. It's kind of spooky that this has been 5 years now that we've been doing this, you and I. That's kind of ridiculous. Let me use my own clicker if that's okay. I've learned a lot from you during that time, Swift. I really have. I've learned a lot about hot dogs. You know, the story about hot dogs the other day reminded me of a time. Was it 2013? You think? We were in Detroit. It was the time that they had MHACs in Detroit, and there was an annex. Was anyone here in the annex for the annex? Anyway, these kids were like super bummed out. They were like, "Oh my gosh, this place is so awful. Everything sucks over here." And they made like a parody Twitter account and the whole thing. Like, everybody was like super bummed out. So me and Swift got the idea to go ahead and buy everyone in the annex 400 chili dogs that we would bring over at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, the thing I learned is that you really can't just buy 400 chili dogs at 3 o'clock in the morning in Detroit. I remember like being on the phone with a guy and being like, yeah, we'd like 300 chili dogs as soon as you can get them. Hello? Are you still there? Oh my God. Learn a lot about hot dogs and learn a lot about a lot of other stuff. One of the many stats that you guys saw this morning was 80,000 people turning in to what was going on a couple weekends ago in Philadelphia and Ann Arbor. I want you to take a step back and think about that for a moment. Every Sunday, 80,000 people tune into a football game in the colleges that you're going to. And now they're turning in to the work that you guys are doing in the field. That is pretty sobering, and that is pretty crazy. I'd like to welcome you guys to the best borough in the greatest city in the world, New York. It's great to have you guys here. I'm sorry to disappoint you with the lack of blizzard. We heard that we were going to get in some snow for you guys. I'm sorry to disappoint you there. But I want to extend my thanks as a person who's worked in this field a while for taking the time to sacrifice a weekend to spend with each other trying to learn more about how to serve developers. There's a limited number of weekends that you have in a school year, certainly a limited number of weekends that you have in your life. I feel this sacrifice is even more poignant when you consider many of you have put into jeopardy the ability to watch the Patriots win their 4th Super Bowl. And that's, oh, bring it, that feels good. I know you guys feel the same way about Tom Brady as I do. And I appreciate you sacrificing and taking the time to be here. So, title of this talk, Hackathons Are for Hacking. This is actually taken from a post that was written by one of your own, Cassidy Williams. I don't think she's here, but she wrote a great post a few weeks ago about some of the challenges that young women face going to these types of events. This talk is not about that. There's going to be plenty of talk about diversity with each other over the course of the weekend. But it was a phrase that stuck in my mind. Hackathons are for hacking. It was a phrase that was really salient to me and something that it's been difficult to put out in my head ever since. Obviously, to talk about the issue briefly, and it's absolutely not my place to do it for you guys, one thing I would point out, having had the privilege to serve you for the past 5 years, is it is getting better. I know it doesn't feel that way some weeks. And there are times when we're out there that you feel like we are far, far away from where we should be. I know, being one of the people watching you guys from a 30-foot view, you are making the scene better for the people that are following you. And when you're climbing a mountain, sometimes you got to look back and see where you've been. So end of the sermon, you guys are making it better. We still got a long way to go. But you should be proud of the work that you've done so far. Two other public service announcements. How about we make this a conversation instead of a lecture? We have some slides up here to serve as like visual aids and Patriots jokes, but If you guys have questions, how about you guys just shout them out during this session? Does that sound okay to you? Yeah. All right, cool. Last bit, if you want to take notes or something like that, you don't have to. They're all up on my GitHub. We have a full outline for everything that's up here. Also, if you could refrain from downloading the Game of Thrones trailer during this talk. This is running on Reveal on a Heroku dyno, and it's going to fall over if we all try to use the internet at the same time. So would appreciate your courtesy on that score. So hackathons are for hacking, man. When Cassidy wrote that, it's really stuck with me, because what got me into the business of serving you all as a sponsor were hackathons in the first place. And when I think back to all the memorable experiences I've had at these very unique events where developers show their work to their peers, I have a very difficult time remembering anything that wasn't related to hacking, right? I don't remember any of the food. Most of it was bad. I certainly don't remember any of the venues. I have a difficult time remembering most of the sponsors, frankly, which petrifies me being in that business now. But all the great moments, all the moments that stuck with me, all the moments that created an indelible impression on me for the rest of my life were moments where I was hacking and I learned something that I could do that I didn't know I could do before I walked in. And you know, that is particularly salient to me as a person who has a commercial interest in your guys' success, and it is a transparently commercial interest, that perhaps hackathons are for hacking has a lot of power in the philosophy that we can bring at Twilio to the sponsorship that we give to all of you. Hackathons are definitely not for selling. Let me tell you something. You can't sell to developers for shit. You know, there are like two truisms in the world. Like you can't sell to a developer and you can't make a turtle fly. And if you try to do, I mean, it's possible to do either, but you're probably an asshole for trying. So what are we, you know, how do we, you know, maintain a successful business while going to these events? Because we're certainly not here to do it out of the kindness of our own hearts. And my suggestion to all of you, that though a company's interests can be commercial at a hackathon, it doesn't have to be mercantile. And I'd like to talk about some of those activities that we see together. So I am Rob Spectre. I have the privilege of serving the developer network at Twilio. I've been working with this community since my very first Hack NY in 2010, where I met Swift and Gottfried and a lot of you. We do over 500 events a year for developers out in the field in the United States and indeed around the world. And out of those, over 150 are hackathons. So the perspective that I'd like to provide you guys, if you think it would be helpful, is that of a sponsor who does a lot of these types of events over the course of the year. Does that make sense? Cool. What we'd like to talk about are some of the activities, like some of the trends that we're seeing in the hackathons over the course of the past year. Then we'll talk about some of our motivations, some of the why someone like me would get involved in your event. And then we'll talk about some of the activities that didn't work and some of the activities that worked. Does that sound good to you? Cool. All righty. So, Peak Hackathon. You know, I feel like I'm on an email list every 6 months where people say that the death of the hackathon is imminent. Right? They're like, Rob, the hackathon has totally jumped the shark. I'm totally over it. There are too many. They are too big. They are too small. They are too multitudinous. There are too many in New York. There are too many in Shoreditch. There are too many in San Francisco. And somehow the number of hackathons keeps growing. I'm not sure many people. Somebody hit the oil tanker. Oh my God. A disaster is so ready to happen. Dude that's looking at me, you need to move, bro. Get out of the way. Okay, are we good? Oh, my God. All right, for the folks live streaming at home, we almost had an oil tanker fall on the third to last row over there. Welcome to Brooklyn, y'all. It's good to have you here. The number of hackathons keeps growing. I'm not sure anyone has any real data on this, except for us, but I can assure you that it is definitely a hockey stick, right? And the growth of the number of these hackathons has led many of you as organizers to wonder, when is the number going to finally even out? When is it going to reach equilibrium? Wow. I appreciate the enthusiasm of the folks that got that joke, but it went over like a turd in a punch bowl for the rest of y'all. That was not good. It's all good. Ned Stark dies in this movie, too. It's pretty great. A lot of people have asked, and Alexei, I think you gave a talk about this last Hackcon, that eventually we will reach too many hackathons for the amount of sponsorship dollars that are in place. And truthfully, I don't think that equilibrium is something that is actually going to occur. What I think is going to occur is the number of attendees will get maxed out way before the number of dollars for holding the events will occur. So the amount of developers that there are in the world depends on who you ask, but most of the credible sources place it around 18.2 million. And it's growing year over year at a very, very slow rate. And you guys know this because you are in college right now. 30 to 60% of your classmates who declared as computer science majors in their freshman year either dropped out, either pulling a Zuckerberg or quit school entirely, or switch to a different major, right? The number of developers that we are producing in the Western world in particular is only between 3 and 4%. There's only one country in all of the Western world that's even growing by 5%, and that's Germany, right? So the number of hackathons are definitely hockey sticking. The number of developers is definitely flat. And around any given time, any given semester, you guys are all fighting for attendance on the same weekend from the same basically 150,000 kids in the United States, right? So it's going to be kind of similar to the phenomenon of poker in the last decade, right? The reason why poker eventually died out, it wasn't because they ran out of sponsorship money, right? Poker is an incredibly easy to monetize product. Like there's literally money on the table waiting for you, right? And it wasn't because of television either, because it's like a super cheap production to put together, right? Like you put 2 cameras on a table, and then it's just a bunch of Johans with glasses, like playing cards. Like it's the easiest television to produce. It's like way cheaper than The Voice. The reason why poker died out, if you ask people who are into it, is they just ran out of people who were into it, right? That's the reason why it leveled out, not because of sponsorship dollars, but because of attendees. I feel that is likely to occur in the hackathon scene, but who knows when that's going to happen. People have been predicting the death of the hackathon for a long time. I don't think that's necessarily something that we should be concerned with. However, that idea, that pressure, does cause many of you, and certainly me as an event organizer as well, to start thinking about the scarcity of the resources that are around us. And it produces very much a Dune-like state. That joke worked way better than the equilibrium joke. Kind of stoked on that. When we're all fighting for what we feel to be a limited number of attendees, it causes us to do some kind of crazy things, right? So we'll take this event and this format that had been working, and then we'll add all these bells and whistles on top of the thing until eventually this thing that we built looks completely different than the vehicle that it had been previously, right? I'm sure many of you guys are thinking about that right now, right? Like you're, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're looking at your registration numbers, you just talked to Swift, and he's like, they're too low. And you're like, God, Frank, how are we going to get these numbers up, man? It's like, Larry, I got the idea. This hackathon, we're going to be the first ones to provide pony rides. Right? Pony rides. We're going to have pony rides there. Anybody who's a developer can walk up, take a break from their hacking, and go have a pony ride. Now, there are 2 problems with pony rides. What do you think those 2 problems might be? Allergies? Well, okay, there are 3 problems. 3 problems with ponies. I did not consider that. Well, the 2 problems as I see it, I'll say, are, 1, it could work. I don't know, crazier things have happened. Hackers could be really into pony rides. Who knows? The only problem with that is you can only use it once, because the next semester or the next year, someone is going to score a deal for $60,000 with like Radio Shack, and instead of pony rides, they're going to have robot unicorn rides. Right? If you find a gimmick, it's only going to work one time, right? But more likely than not, it's not going to work at all. Then you just have a pony hanging around your hackathon drinking all the coffee. It's kind of a drag. So the thing I would like to suggest to you guys, as you're looking to differentiate the experience that you're trying to create for developers, is provide a little perspective from the sponsor's point of view on what we're looking to get out of our participation. To give you a little bit of insight of when we take a look at the prospectus that you give us, and believe me, we get a lot, what we are motivated to do, what we're looking to do at these events. Does that sound okay with you? Cool. Cool. So why we sponsor you. So when I think about the work that the developer evangelism team does at Twilio, I think when we're doing our best work is when we see a constellation of developers that are out there, right? And we have this big, kind of difficult to understand concept called Twilio. We can place a representative of your tribe, that is to say an actual developer, represented in this case by the blue dot on the left with the name Rob, and that individual sets to introducing themselves to as many developers as they can find, and subsequently introduce them to Twilio if that makes sense for that individual developer. So as the event goes along, eventually we have a small network of folks who know the individual developer evangelist and know something about Twilio, right? And there's some sort of connection between all of them. A network, a defensible network effect on a micro scale at a hackathon, right? Now, there are a number of ways that you can get those nodes engaged, right? Like one of the big ones that you guys certainly avail yourselves of, especially with companies that are much larger than Twilio, is the idea of the premium sponsorship, right? Like, can you imagine if this was like Hackcon powered by Twilio? That would be pretty sick, right? Like, we could just have our branding all over the place. There could be like really, really artisanal graffiti with the Twilio logo over there on the left. It'd be pretty sick. Swift would have to say thank you, Twilio, after every 3 sentences. The idea I had, I still want to talk about it with Gottfried. I think for the next Hackcon, what we can do is hand every single participant a pair of Google Glass that will show a Twilio logo the entire time. All right, so the Twilio logo is like there the entire time, right? We should talk about that. I think that would be a good idea. Right, so if you take the same scenario and describe the experience for the sponsor, the premium sponsorship, the effect that you see take place is quite different, right? So you have all the developers represented in the gray, you have this idea of Twilio represented in the middle, then you have a developer evangelist up there in the left-hand corner, and you have a big premium sponsorship. Everybody pays attention to the brand because it's like big, bold font on a gigantic banner that's up before the speaker. You have like 72-point font on the back of the t-shirt. But there's a natural problem from an effectiveness standpoint of what that actually does for your relationship with the brand. Cognitive scientists have discovered that omnipresent branding becomes background noise in a very, very brief amount of time. The human mind is an incredibly remarkable device, and its ability to distinguish signal from noise is ridiculous. So if you do the big premium sponsorship, you end up with a situation where you have a big initial splash, long atrophy over the course of the event, if it's 24 hours or 48 hours, and then you end up with a whole bunch of people that still kind of know about the brand, sort of, because they saw the logo on the back of the t-shirt. You have a whole bunch of other people that are super repulsed by it because they were seeing it the entire time. And then you have a developer evangelist all by himself. Aww. So a solution to that problem is a giveaway. If you're taking a look at the standard sponsorship and you're like, oh, well, what we need to do is get the attendees interacting more with the people that we have on the ground. So let's have the people on the ground give something away, right? So you have the developer evangelist sitting in the midst of this constellation. About a quarter of the people are interested in the iPad that they're giving away. And hopefully a few of them actually use Twilio on their individual teams so that they can win the prize, right? So how does this compare to the network that we saw in the first example? It's certainly better than the premium sponsorship, but it still has a lot to be desired, right? And then there's a big catastrophic network event that's going to happen, and what's that on a giveaway? The prize is gone. Well, you have to give it away, right? So one person has a really strong connection, right, with the developer evangelist because, oh, you just gave me a free iPad. That's sweet, right? Maybe they have a bit of gratitude in their hearts for the logo that bought it, the brand that bought it. But the rest of the guys are like, man, fuck that guy. Right? I don't care that someone made Twilio plays Mortal Kombat before. Mine was better, right? So they're super turned off. There are very few people that are left that have any sort of brand affinity for Twilio, and there's a massive amount of developers that weren't at all inspired and equipped. Right. So the kinds of sponsorship opportunities that we at Twilio try to pursue are ones that predictably are a little bit different than that, right? And so if you take that individual scenario, what we are trying to do is find as many opportunities as possible for your participants to learn something new that they didn't know before, right? Because the connections that you create when you learn something new are stronger, more powerful, and indelible for your entire life, right? How many of you guys had an influential teacher in your lives? Like almost every last one of you, right? Okay, for folks in the row that had an influential teacher, raise your hands again, right? Who was it?
It was a teacher teaching me data structures and algorithms.
What was his or her name?
Paul Epley. AP Calculus, Miss Paul. Mr. Cabbage, Calculus.
Right? They don't remember just the name of the person that was teaching them something. They remember exactly what they were doing at the time, right? And those are the moments that we're trying to create at Twilio, right? And when we do our job well, and I hope a few of you in this crowd have had that experience with the developer evangelist, you're not going to just remember the developer evangelist name, you're going to remember who they work for. And at some point, I guarantee it, as a working developer, you're going to have to make a phone ring or send a text message, and you're going to remember who helped you unbork your Nginx config at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So this is the network theory about the stuff that we do, right? But it has a very important second element, right? And that second element is what happens after the event. I'm not the first person you guys have told about this teacher, right? No. Because when you learn something new, God damn it, you tell every last person you could see, right? A couple months ago, I was sitting at a buddy's place, and I found this website called technobowl.org. And I discovered you could play this really old game for the Nintendo called Techno Super Bowl with Tom Brady and all the current New England Patriots. I was super stoked to learn that I could do this new thing, and I shared it with the entire internet. And I suspect if you learn something new, some new programming technique, some new technology, some new library, some new anything that has to do with programming, you are likely going to talk about the positive experience that you had and the person that taught you it, right? And the effect that that ultimately produces is the network that we're really going for at Twilio, right? Because if you take a look at the surface area of this graph, the blue edges representing the connections that the individual developers have with each other, it's much larger than the network that we could ever build by ourselves. And that is the multiplicative effect of the network theory approach to evangelism that we're trying to do at Twilio. Does that make sense? It's pretty crazy JavaScript, right? You like that? Was that fun? Yeah, wasn't that cool? You know what it looks like? You know, with all the red, white, and blue? It looks like the Patriots are going to look on Sunday after they beat the Seahawks. Oh, biscuits. Oh, I'm getting in trouble for that. Okay, let's talk about some stuff that worked and didn't work, okay? And then we'll wrap it up. Does anybody have any questions on that bit so far? Hey, what's up, bud? Gotcha. So the question was like, Twilio, that sounds pretty cool, but you're like one company out of a million who want to give us money, and some of them aren't hip to the JavaScript jive that you were laying down earlier. And that's a fair question. What are they in for? As near as I can tell, two other things, right? One is recruiting, or two is awareness, right? So give Microsoft the premium sponsorship, and they're usually going to be happy. Give someone like ADP the opportunity to have their HR representatives there, they're going to be happy, right? Is usually what we find. I don't mean to speak for them, though. They probably have other things that they're interested in, too.
So, similar question, but instead of kind of giving in to, oh, this is what that group wants, it's not really going to help them. What do you think are the steps that can be taken to encourage these other companies that have the potential to create this own network effect? How can we help them and therefore get them more invested in our events for the future once they have that great experience?
I mean, nothing works better than data, right? So in the every single year since Twilio started getting involved in the collegiate hackathon scene, when I joined in 2011, the number of applications that we've had for internships have increased threefold every single year, so tripled every single year, right? And there is nothing more white hot right now, as anybody here will tell you, as Dave will definitely tell you, than the market for technical talent, right? So share the data of the network effects.
So you're awesome, right? You've been doing this for a long time.
Well, I think there are probably some people in the room that are going to disagree with you on that score. But that's kind of you to say.
A developer evangelist by trade. So in my experience, I see like three different types of companies. There's ones that bring a ton of engineers, and they all are super outgoing and social, and they reach out to hackers themselves at Hackcon. There's people that bring engineers, but those engineers aren't really like, they don't know how to approach the hackers, and hackers don't approach them. And then there's the people that just bring HR people. So
Gotcha.
how do we help the companies and actually the hackers who don't feel as comfortable going up to a bunch of sponsors and saying, hey, my code doesn't work at all, can you help me? And I feel like there's a huge gap between the type of person like you who would go find a hacker that needs help versus the type of company who just send people that know what they're doing but have no connection to the hackers, and the hackers have no connection to them.
Gotcha. So the question for the folks at home was, what do you do when you don't have a lot of developer evangelists on the site, right? Most people do not have organizations like Twilio that are focused on doing this. Some engineers are gregarious, some are not. How do you help all these groups? So the first answer I'll give is actually in the worked. I think I have an actual activity or a thing that you can do as an organizer that will help facilitate those connections, especially among engineers, both participants and sponsors who may be a little shy. The second bit is just demand that they send engineers. Stop sending recruiters. That's what I would say.
So I get the point that you're making where if you have one big sponsor, it kind of takes away from all the little sponsors and they don't actually form helpful connections that help the hackers. But at the same time, like, for example, the Hackathon we hold, our top sponsor is $75,000, and that's what makes the event happen.
Yeah, that's true. I guess what I'm specifically saying here is I don't think the premium sponsorship detracts from Twilio's ability to get heard at an event at all, right? I'm explaining why me as a sponsor, that particular type of activity is unappealing to me, right? I think the premium sponsors are absolutely required for a whole thing to run. You should absolutely have them, to be clear. But for me as a sponsor who has done this a while and done the premium sponsorships before, I'm sharing with you why it doesn't really work for us. Does that make sense?
So is there any sponsor clashing?
Sponsor clashing?
Like one sponsor that
Dude, it's not like West Side Story. It's not like... That was a good cultural reference for New York, right? That was good. You know, it's not Game of Thrones, right? Well, that's better. Better one coming up. I haven't seen that. I mean, I've shown up at hackathons, and there have been, you know, communications APIs there, and they're great people. When you sit around and just talk, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Amy? Gotcha. So the question was, how do you determine the value of a sponsorship tier as a sponsor. There's a lot that goes into it. We have like 23 different points of consideration with every single event that we do, and we reject probably 3 times as many as we actually sponsor. So you take the 500 events that we did last year, multiply times 3, you can understand why Tony may take a couple days to get back to you if you're sending him a sponsorship request. For us, I would say the single biggest factor is the track record of the organizers themselves, right? So either a institution that has put together a strong program for succession like they have done at Penn Apps and MHacks and HackRU, or the individual organizers themselves have a strong track record of success. And at those events, we are more inclined to spend more to get greater visibility. But really, you know, what we're looking for in any event we sponsor, bare minimum, is the maximum amount of opportunities to create incidents where the kids learn something new that they didn't know how to do before. And so if there are sponsorship tiers that reflect a greater amount of opportunity for that, that's how we make that judgment. Cool. Do you guys want to do work, didn't work right quick? Cool. Awesome. So stuff that doesn't work, parties totally don't work. I'm sure you've been to plenty of them. They're really, really popular in startups. Basically what happens is like, hey, everybody, quiet down. Let's thank Twilio for the beer. And everybody in the crowd is like, right, totally ineffective. Doesn't work. Dancing, yoga breaks. We got this a lot last year. Apparently, folks like to align their chakras at a hackathon. I didn't know that that was the case. Totally doesn't work. Driveby Demo, so a lot of folks will have, you know, a list of sponsors like a mile long. They'll sign up like 100 sponsors, and each person will get like 60 seconds to demo. How on earth do you explain what a Twilio is in 60 seconds? I don't know. So usually those are opportunities that we pass on. And then second day workshops, that is to say workshops that occur after the first 2 hours of hacking has commenced, right? Like me telling you about a Twilio after you've already decided to build an iOS app isn't gonna do anybody any good. So you're probably not even gonna show up, right? What are some of the things that all these things have in common? It's not bad management. The participants have to stop hacking to be in them, right? When I look at all the executions that we did, and we had a ton of crazy ideas last year that were failed from a sponsorship perspective, they all involved the individual hacker in some way stop developing, right? And that includes like emceeing demos. Like obviously, I love doing it. It's a great time, and I'm always happy to show off your guys' work whenever we can. But truthfully, this experience here at the awards ceremony is totally after the sponsorship opportunity for Twilio has occurred, right? Everyone's dead tired and asleep, and I'm trying to wake them up by shouting very loudly into the microphone and driving Gottfried crazy because he's the one trying to equalize everything on the mic. So when I look at all those opportunities that kind of didn't work, I'm inclined to look at the stuff that works. So to your point of reducing the friction of the experience between shy engineers and shy participants at an event, one thing that has definitely worked for us is a brain trust. Gigantic neon sign that points at the developers who are sponsors at the hackathon and tell you to come here if you ever have a problem, right? Is your dyno not spinning up and showing some error that you have not seen before, right? Are you getting undefined somewhere in your express stack? Are you unable to get G Unicorn running on your DigitalOcean droplet, right? Like all these individual bits that are preventing you from learning to do something that you never knew how you could do before could be eradicated in a very easy format that everyone knows how to use by just putting a sign up and saying like, these folks are here to help you. Hack MIT does this really well, by the way. Mini hacks, this is the thing that we saw at Xamarin Evolve. Oftentimes at an event, you don't have enough time to dedicate yourself to learning all the stuff that you would want to know, right? So one activity that kept developers hacking that I thought was really cool that the folks at Xamarin came up with this year was the concept of mini hacks. So every sponsor came up with a set of, fun challenges for their individual products, and the developers just hacked on them. So these aren't all-day projects. These are 5-minute projects, basic introductory primers, and they had a big leaderboard up on the screen so that it had a fun, like, competitive experience, and you can walk around and level up your character as things went on. Mini Hacks was super cool. Code, anytime to do a live coding demonstration, especially early in the hackathon, is absolutely critical and encourages them to get hacking. And then finally, one that I would love to see more at the hackathons that you guys are putting on specifically in the collegiate arena is environment setup. Everyone knows the hardest part of getting working with Java is getting Eclipse working, not getting Java working. Many of you have sat through while I have tried to fumble my way into installing Java 8 on all your machines. It would be awesome if there was a guild hall, a place where a set of experts have dedicated their time to helping people get up and running on Windows, Mac, and Linux for a particular platform. That is totally doable, will totally increase the total amount of time that participants have to hack, and something that we as sponsors are absolutely eager to help you guys do. So conclusions, hackathons are for hacking. This is a very salient point to me. As you consider the experiences that you're going to create this year, as a sponsor who has a vested financial interest in those events going well, I hope you will consider optimizing for the amount of time that every single one of your participants has to hack. And go Patriots.